Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling your request to break down the latest crypto market moves.
Yeah,
Specifically, you wanted the inside scoop on Bitcoin and where things might be headed.
of course.
To get you totally up to speed, we're looking at a fresh market analysis from BH News titled "Bitcoin Faces Market Uncertainty as ETFs Progress," and a CoinMarketCap guest post by Optimus, catchy name, that gives us the rundown on the SEC keeping a close eye on BlackRock's foray into Bitcoin ETFs.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is, so let's dive right in.
Let's talk Bitcoin. It's been flirting with that $63,000 mark,
Right.
but dipped down to around $62,500 today. Kind of like going to buy your usual coffee, expecting to pay, say, $2.95, but today it's $2.80. Makes you wonder what's going on. Right, that little price drop probably has people watching Bitcoin wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not just a coincidence. This dip is happening as the news breaks about the SEC approving spot Bitcoin ETF options, particularly with BlackRock leading the charge.
Now, for anyone who isn't glued to the crypto charts 24/7,
Yeah.
BlackRock is a huge name in finance. We're talking trillions of dollars managed.
Big players.
So, them getting into the Bitcoin ETF game is a pretty big deal. But
Yeah.
what does this ETF thing actually mean?
Great question.
Yeah.
In the simplest terms, an ETF or exchange-traded fund makes investing in something like Bitcoin more accessible.
Okay.
It's like buying a slice of the Bitcoin pie, as you said earlier, without having to bake the whole thing yourself. This could potentially open the floodgates to a wave of new investors who might not have been comfortable dabbling in crypto directly before.
Okay, so more people who can invest easily. That often translates to more trading activity, right? And more activity usually means
More volatility, exactly.
Guaranteed.
Which helps explain why we're seeing Bitcoin's price react the way it is today. It's like the market is trying to figure out what this ETF approval really means for Bitcoin's future.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of unknowns right now.
And we're not just talking about your average investor dipping their toes in.
Right.
Our BH News article hints at some serious institutional interest as well. Apparently, BNY Mellon, a major player in the banking world, just got the green light for crypto custody services.
That's right. And that's significant because institutions like BNY Mellon are known for being incredibly risk averse.
Yeah, they don't just jump into anything.
Exactly. Their involvement in crypto custody, basically, holding crypto assets securely, adds a new layer of legitimacy to the space in the eyes of traditional finance.
Interesting. So it's like the traditional financial world is finally taking crypto seriously.
It's certainly a step in that direction.
Okay. So more potential investors,
Yeah.
big institutions getting involved. Sounds like things are looking up for Bitcoin, right?
Well, while there's clearly growing interest in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and our BH News article mentions persistent demand for spot Bitcoin ETFs, the funny thing is, analysts are actually quite divided on where the price of Bitcoin goes from here.
Oh, really? So it's a real battle of the crypto titans right now.
You could say that some analysts are predicting a massive bull run, while others are bracing for a potential crash. It's that uncertainty that makes the crypto market so fascinating.
Right.
And let's be honest, a little addictive to follow.
You're not kidding. So let's dive into some of these predictions. BH News quoted someone called Crypto Tony, love the name,
Of course.
who predicts a full-blown Bitcoin crash next year,
Wow.
but not before potentially hitting $110,000 first.
Okay.
Now, that's a prediction that comes with a healthy dose of drama.
It certainly does.
Right.
But it's important to remember that market predictions are often tied to things like market cycles and historical trends. They can be helpful for context, but they're not exactly crystal balls.
Right, past performance and all that. Still, that $110,000 figure is pretty tantalizing, isn't it? And it's not just Crypto Tony making waves with these bold predictions. BH News also mentioned an analyst called Crypto Rover, who's laser-focused on this idea of breaking through the $68,000 resistance level. What's that all about?
So Crypto Rover is all about the money supply. Now that might sound a little technical,
Right.
but imagine a swimming pool. That's our market. The money supply is like the water level in that pool. Crypto Rover believes that if Bitcoin breaks past that $68,000 mark, it's like a giant pipe suddenly bursting, sending a surge of new water, or in this case, buying power flooding into the market.
Okay, that's a visual I can get behind.
Yeah.
So if Bitcoin bursts through that $68,000 ceiling, or should I say, damn, get ready to ride the waves.
Potentially. But remember, with all predictions, it's a matter of wait and see. There are no guarantees in the world of crypto.
Fair enough. But all this talk of potential crashes and bull runs, it does make you wonder what's driving these wildly different outlooks.
That's the million-dollar question, right? And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, some analysts are laser-focused on technical factors, like those chart patterns and trading volumes we talked about earlier. They're looking for signals within the market itself.
Like our friend Mustache, who sees a pattern forming that looks a lot like what happened back in 2020, which, if memory serves, was a pretty epic year for altcoins, right?
That's right. And that kind of technical analysis is a legitimate approach used by many traders. But, and this is a big, but past performance isn't a guarantee of future results.
Always a good reminder. But it does add another layer of intrigue, doesn't it? So we've got some analysts looking at the charts, some looking at the overall market sentiment.
Yeah.
What else is factoring into these predictions?
Well, don't forget the impact of things like regulations, adoption by institutions, and even broader economic trends. They all play a role.
Right, because it's not like Bitcoin exists in a vacuum.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the news about the SEC getting really involved with BlackRock's ETF.
Oh, right, that CoinMarketCap piece. They're talking about the SEC going all in on preventing market manipulation with BlackRock's ETFs. It's like they're bringing the rule book to a crypto party. But is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's the question on everyone's mind. On the one hand, increased regulation can be seen as a sign of maturation for the crypto market. It could make institutional investors, those big players with deep pockets, feel more comfortable jumping in.
Because it makes things seem a little less like the Wild West of finance.
Exactly. And that could lead to more stability and wider adoption. However, and you knew there was a however coming.
There's always a twist.
Right. There are concerns that too much regulation could stifle innovation and make the crypto space less appealing to those who are drawn to its decentralized nature, its potential to operate outside the traditional financial systems.
So it's a trade-off. More stability and mainstream acceptance on one hand, potentially at the expense of some of that independent, rebellious crypto spirit on the other.
Precisely. And that tension, that push and pull between mainstream adoption and decentralization, that's the heart of what's happening in crypto right now.
Okay, so we've got Bitcoin's price doing a little dance, ETF approvals shaking things up, analysts making bold predictions, and this underlying tension between crypto going mainstream and staying true to its roots. Where does that leave our listener who's just trying to make sense of it all?
That's where you come in.
Let's do a quick recap for our listener. Today's crypto deep dive has been, well, bit of a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has. We've seen Bitcoin's price dip slightly today, likely in response to the big news about spot Bitcoin ETF options getting approved by the SEC, with BlackRock leading the way.
And remember, BlackRock jumping into the ETF ring is kind of a big deal. It's like the cool kids suddenly showing up at the blockchain party. We've also seen how this ETF news, along with other factors, is fueling some pretty diverse predictions from the analysts. Some are saying bull run, others are saying not so fast.
Right. We've got Crypto Tony predicting a potential crash next year, but not before a possible surge to $110,000. And then there's Crypto Rover, who's watching that $68,000 mark like a hawk, waiting for a potential flood of new investment to pour in.
Yeah, it's enough to make anyone's head spin.
It is. It really is. And let's not forget the more fundamental shift that's happening. Traditional financial institutions like BNY Mellon are stepping into the crypto arena.
Right.
That's huge. But at the same time, the SEC is taking a more active role in regulating the market. It's like we're witnessing this tug of war between bringing crypto into the mainstream and preserving that decentralized spirit that knew so many people to it in the first place.
Exactly, and that tension is what makes this whole space so dynamic and, frankly, unpredictable. So where does that leave our listener who's probably wondering, should I buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, or just sit here and listen to these two talk about it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But hopefully, this deep dive has given you a clearer picture of the forces at play right now. You've got the information, the news, the different perspectives, the potential risks and rewards, and that's what matters.
It's about empowering yourself to make informed decisions. Or not just about, what we think, but like giving our listeners the lay of the land.
Absolutely. And as we see this whole drama between mainstream adoption and decentralization play out, the biggest takeaway for you, dear listener, is this. What kind of future do you envision for cryptocurrency? What role do you see it playing in the years to come? Because ultimately, it's the collective choices of individuals that will shape the future of this technology.
And on that note, that is a wrap on today's deep dive into the wild world of crypto. Keep those questions coming, and we'll keep bringing you the insights you need to navigate this ever-evolving landscape. Until next time, happy diving.